Hi everyone, I'm in my greenhouse and I wanted to give you a quick little update. We're heading towards the end of October, and as you can see, things are still growing in here. Some things are now done. This needs to come out. However, many things are still growing. Now, typically I like to plant fall crops in here and things to overwinter, but I decided instead, because we did have a slow start to our summer season and a slow start in the greenhouse, and the fact that things are still growing in this greenhouse and tomatoes are still ripening, I decided to forego planting a fall crop in here and just take a break over the winter. I'm actually looking forward to it. I feel okay with that this year. Maybe next year will be a different story. However, this year I'm really good with just enjoying the greenhouse, taking advantage of it for as long as possible without pulling out any plants, without having to worry about transplanting seedlings, and just getting the most I can out of this greenhouse for this year, taking things out when we finally have our deep freeze, taking a break, and then starting up again next March or so. So I'm just going to give you a quick little tour of what's growing. So I have this over here. This was a slow to start plant but has done really well, and I have grown it before, and as you can see, it's really, really long and tall. This one is called a Michael Pollan tomato. It is an heirloom variety. I believe it's from Wild Boar, originated. As you can see, the plant has grown to the roof, and the little tomatoes, they're not that little actually, they look like this. Now here's one that's ripe. This is a ripe Michael Pollan, and this is an unripe one, so you get the idea of the color. So this one's unripe, nice and light. This one here is ripe, so I'm just going to take it off. This one's yellow, so you know Michael Pollan is ripe when the base color is yellow, and then it continues to maintain these green striping, striations, or whatever you want to call them. This is a good size tomato. As you can see, it fills the palm of my hand. I would say it's about 3.5 or so inches long. It's nice and heavy. This one's ready to eat, and the taste, I would say, is slightly sweet, definitely meaty, like a plum tomato would be on the inside. Not a lot of seeds. Skin is fairly thinnish, like doesn't really affect when you eat it. You don't really taste it in your teeth, but it's got a really nice depth of flavor for a tomato. You could use it for sauce. It would make a beautiful green tomato sauce. Imagine, that would be beautiful. Or you could use it for salsa, or you could just slice it up in salads as I do and just eat it that way. So this is a Michael Pollan tomato. Now I do have another one down here. As you can see, it's pretty ripe. I'm going to take this one off as well. It comes off easily and it's ready. Gorgeous. It's got this darkening here, this beautiful yellowy orange color, and it continues to have these green stripes. So you know it's ready. You can feel it's ready. It has a little bit of give, which will also tell you that it's ready. So this one is ready. And I still have nasturtiums growing in the greenhouse, and they're amazing. They continue to grow. Little tip about nasturtiums is if you cut down the plant, if you see that it's getting really leggy, cut it all down to leave a few inches at the base, and it will regrow, and I will show you that as one has done in my greenhouse already. So the rest of these tomatoes are still going. They're not ready yet for harvest. I'm hoping that I still have a couple weeks left at least until a hard frost, and I will continue to have them. But it has been producing non-stop since I started. I do have this lovely rosemary here. This one I did not grow from seed. I did buy it as a seedling. What I plan to do with it is cut it down to about here, and I will dry all these, and I'll probably put them into an herb salt, another rosemary garlic herb salt, which I've made before. It's absolutely delicious. The recipe for that, the recipe for the rosemary garlic herb salt is on my website under a post called how to make herb salts, and I will link that in the description below. You can find the link to that website, and you can get the recipe for rosemary garlic herb salt. It's my favorite. I add it directly to salads, to tomatoes fresh, to eggs, to roast chicken, to potatoes, to really everything. It's one of my favorite salts. Turned out amazing. Down here I have this olive plant right here. It is a perennial in a warm climate, but I think it'll be okay in my greenhouse because it did overwinter in my outdoor garden one year. It smells like olives. If you rub the leaves, they have a high essential oil content. Quite, you can feel them. They do have a bit of like oiliness in a way, not really, but they're succulent. And if you smell your fingers, they smell like olives, like marinated olives. So I still have some calendula in the greenhouse. I love calendula. I have a frog or a toad that lives here. It's under there somewhere. And I believe he's now hibernating because I haven't seen him in a while. He's also, I have a second one, and one lives in this pot here as well. He's been living there for a while. Either he buried himself at the bottom of that lemongrass plant, or he has now buried himself in the soil, but he was living in here. This was started from seed, and it's done really, really well. So I will bring this in the house. Hopefully I don't have a toad living inside it at the time, and I will keep it on the windowsill in the kitchen, and then I'll bring it back out again next year, and it should be a substantial size. So this is what it looks like when you get your lemongrass started in January, and here we are towards the end of October. It's fairly good size. Plus the toad's been pooping in the soil, so I'm sure you probably, fertilized it a bit with that, and it's doing quite well. Down there I have a lavender, which I started from seed. It's done really well too. It's gonna stay in the greenhouse. I have this basil, which I've been growing from seed. And as you can see here, it's done really well. I did get a lot of harvest from it. I've really, really enjoyed it. I've made herb salt with it as well, and I'm waiting for it to mature to give me some seeds. So I stopped taking leaves a few weeks ago, maybe 3-4 weeks ago, and now I'm just waiting for it to give me some seeds so I can collect them and then grow them out again. Over here I have an Ananas Noir tomato. This one is getting close to being ready for harvest. It's beautiful. I started it actually in March, and put it in the greenhouse, I believe the end of October, and it has done really well. It was the first tomato to produce in the garden, in the greenhouse. So my intention is to start several more to plant directly in the greenhouse again. So I'll start them the first week of March, which I typically wouldn't start my tomatoes till the end of April. But I'll start it in the beginning of March so I can plant them into the greenhouse towards the end of April or early May, and then have early harvests of tomatoes. So here I have my favorite tomato. It's called Aunt Ruby's German Green. Check out the size of this thing. This is a monster. So what I do is I save seeds from Aunt Ruby's German Green. Every year I select from the largest fruit, save those seeds, replant them again, and every year it gives me these monster ones. This actually may be the record. It's getting close to being ready. How can I tell? Well, typically Aunt Ruby's is a green tomato, but the base will yellow a bit, as you can see here. There is some give, so that's the first sign, but also sometimes they do produce a little bit of pinky color. This one doesn't have the pink, but it does have the yellow, and there is some slight give, so maybe in a week or so it'll be ready. Hopefully we don't have a hard frost, but I don't think it's on the forecast just yet. Here I have some Gardener's Delight, which continues to produce and impress me. I started these from seeds I saved last year, and they have done amazingly well. They've now reached the ceiling, but it's been all summer. They don't take up a lot of space. They're really beautiful, perfect cocktail tomato size. I'm actually gonna try one. I believe this one's ready. So I'm gonna try this one. Really juicy. Really juicy. The skin is perfect thickness, not too thick, not too thin, so it will last you a little while, as opposed to like the Aunt Ruby's, which has a really thin skin and doesn't store well. This one will last you a while. It has a lot of juice in it. Not a ton of seeds, but it does have seeds, but they're not overwhelming in any way. Lots of meat inside as well. Definitely a great tomato to grow. Highly recommend it. You can eat it the way it is. You can add it to salads. You can just eat it plain. I love it. You have it with eggs. As you can see, I still have a ton coming up there. So I got to get in here and get harvesting. Still have the occasional cucumber that comes up. Now we are towards the end of October. Our first frost was around October 3rd. So, I'm still producing vegetables here in the greenhouse, which is really amazing. And this is why I decided to not plant my fall crop in here this year, just let it be and enjoy this as long as I possibly can until I have to take it out. And then I think that'll be my break time. I'll just stop and I'll be okay with not doing anything else after that, just relaxing for the winter. I'm okay with that this year. So as long as you're okay with it, you don't feel guilt, it's fine. Here I have a dragon's egg, and I'm leaving this one for seed. It's gotten really big, so I'm going to leave that one as long as possible. It's a cucumber. Looks like an egg, so we call it, it's the name of it is dragon's egg. And down in there, lurking in the shadows, is one Kawano melon. And he is scary at best. Does have spikes that have developed. All of the plant material that's related to it is terrifyingly prickly. Right there you can see it. Heaven forbid you should touch it. You will get splinters in your skin without even noticing it. So I'm trying to stay really careful when I'm around it, but it isn't my favorite, so I won't grow it again. Okay, so here on this side, just gonna finish off. Here's what's left. I brought this in. This was a colander, a vintage antique colander I planted with lemongrass, lemon mint, and lemon thyme. It's done really well. It needs some water, but what I'll do is I'll bring it inside. I have a jalapeno growing here, and it just keeps producing. I'm thinking probably just let it go. Here I have a shishito, and I still have a couple of red ones there. Amazing. There's no whatsoever, there is no frost damage in the greenhouse. I do see there's some bugs though, so it's time to, you know, it's coming towards the end, so I'm not going to stress about it. There is some bug damage. I don't really want to do I don't want to spend a lot of time trying to clean it now. I mean, I'm just going to take the plants out. There's no point stressing about bugs now. I mean, it's over, right? So I'm happy to get what I can, but I do see that, you know, it's coming to the end of its life cycle. Here I have some Bikino peppers that I started from seed. If you're going to grow these, they are amazing. They're beautiful. They're finally now all ripening here in the greenhouse, but you need to give them extra time. So if you're starting your peppers 8 weeks in advance, I would say start these 10 weeks. Give these an extra 2 weeks. They are very slow to get started, so they do need the extra time. So if you're going to grow them, plan for extra plants. Also plan them to be started early. If you can grow them in a greenhouse, even better. You can also grow them under some grow lights. Get them started early under the lights. They do need extra time. Pot them up on time, and just let them, give them extra time. Be patient because they do take time, but look, we're at the end of October. I'm finally now getting ripe fruit, and I've only really harvested 4 in the past. So now I'm ready to start harvesting. I have 4 plants here. So I just want to show you. There they all are. There's more back there. And these ones here are not ready yet. So, and this is the nasturtium I wanted to show you. So this nasturtium grew out of control and grew across the floor. It was crazy. And I couldn't, as you can see, it's starting to grow again. But I had to cut it back because it was shading the Bikino peppers. I cut it right down. I left about 2 inches from the base, and this entire plant has grown back, and it's grown back really healthy. And prior to that, it wasn't that healthy. Looking, it was yellowing and all that. So cutting it back, I wasn't sad to do that. And since I've done that, now the plant is covered in flowers again, and covered in healthy green growth. So definitely recommend, if you would like to refresh your nasturtiums, that you hack them back and then let them regrow. And if you have them in a greenhouse, they're a great option because, as you can see, they're still flowering, and all the ones in my garden are done. And this is now not at all affected by any kind of cold from the outside. I do have a space heater in here that I turn on at nighttime, so it doesn't freeze in here, but absolutely easy to grow them in the greenhouse. And really that's it. I do have some lettuce here that's gone to seed, which I'm going to harvest now, put them in a bucket, collect the seeds, and be able to plant these out again. And then this is an old cucumber plant, which is now done. So I'm going to take that out. There is a cucumber down there. It's called an Armenian cucumber. There's one. I'm not sure if it's good anymore. I've kind of just let it go because it's the end of the season and I don't want to worry about it. So, and that's it. So that's the greenhouse right now. Still producing. How are your gardens doing? How are your greenhouses doing? Do you have a greenhouse? Are you growing in the greenhouse? Do you still have summer vegetables growing in your greenhouse, or have you transitioned now to fall crops? And what zone are you in? Have you had your first frost? Have you had a hard frost? Has it snowed? It hasn't snowed here yet. I'm in zone 5AB in Mono, Ontario, Canada, which is north of Toronto by about an hour. And we have had our first frost, but they've been really light frosts, so we haven't had anything severe. And things in the garden are still doing okay. All the summer veggies are done, but it hasn't, the ground is still soft and all that. So still easy to plant garlic and anything else you want, or perennials as well. So that's it. So please, if you've liked this video, click the like button. Please subscribe and click the little notification bell so that you're notified when I release another video. And I will definitely be doing that more often as I garden and I make things in my kitchen to share with all of you. I'm really glad you could join me today. I look forward to chatting with you all again soon. Thanks so much for watching. Happy gardening.